I remember days they used to laugh at me. Used to show them on my records talking casually. Used to say it was a passion on my path to be. Then they told me that I couldn't, so I had to be. Tell me what they really think about it now. Used to hate it, but I guarantee they're proud. Had to do it just to show them that I could, yeah. Now I finally think I took it where I should, yeah. Had a jokes on you and now you're on and laughing. I did a whole lot of winning. Look, it came from a passion. I see a whole lot of no ones I could see now in public. And that may think a lot of things, man. At least think something, now you the judge. And now tell me where you ended up, yeah. Look, I bet it was a simple job, yeah. Look, I went and took a different route, yeah. Look, that's why my life is different now. Back in my feelings, look, when I wasn't so gifted and I was learning to do this, and all I heard were the critics, and I don't blame you for that shit. Look, I was way out the basis, but I just needed some talent so I could wait this to greatness, oh yeah. You ain't ever think this, no, no, no. Stop me while I started, homie, whoa, whoa, whoa. Now this shit settled, it's go better and better, but I'll always remember, yeah, yeah.
We're in Chicago, and I was at this event called, I think it's Creative or Create Con. I don't know. You know what?
Creative Con?
Creative Con with an 8 in it instead of the A. Mm-hmm. And I was speaking in a workshop, and then I did a panel. And this panel was 5 or 6 podcast hosts. And the people in the audience, the attendees, were able to pitch podcast hosts, which was kind of tough because some people weren't ready for the types of shows that were up there. Maybe some of the shows were okay with it, but you know, they were pitching 2 minutes, and we're sitting there listening to them. And like, it's hard because like some people aren't ready yet, and that's fine, right?
So they're pitching themselves to be as a guest on the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's bold. That's
so it's kind of like American Idol in a way, Shark Tank in a way, and you want to be nice to them and encouraging, but they're not ready. So anyway, we're running out of time.
Yeah.
And I saw Heather with her hand up, and I was like, make sure you get to her. And I was telling Julie, let's just get them all in. Let's get them all in. I was standing behind the mic. And eventually, Heather was the last one. And I saw her when she raised her hand first. She was a little tentative. And I'm like, come on, stick that hand up way high. Reach for the sky.
Yeah.
And so we were able to get to her, and she pitched us. And I heard a bit of her story, and I'm like, oh, that's what I was looking for. Because we had one spot open for this trip here to Chicago for that one tour.
My favorite word, serendipitous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you kind of shared a little bit of your story. And I was like, oh, we got to have her in. And I know Kinz would vibe with her. And so, we're having you here to find out your story. And one of the big things we have this brand That One is because we want people to stand out. We want people that have their story. Don't be afraid to get out there and share your story and separate yourself from others. Right. And part of your story, I'm sure, was like, you know, there's things that you like might think about, like, oh, I don't want to share that. You know, you don't want to be vulnerable. Right. So we want to hear your story, and we're excited about this. And then, if you don't mind, we're going to dive in, and we'll, you know, we want to know. I'm a details guy. I like behind the scenes, documentary stuff. Yeah. So we want to hear that. Okay. So, but where did it start? Like, take us to where it started.
Sure. It started in 2014. I really had no health issues, no pre-existing conditions, and I started getting some pain in the right upper quadrant of my stomach and fatigue. And at that age, I mean, you're
How old were you?
23 when this started.
Okay.
And so, you know, at that age, you're just starting your life. Sure. I was in nursing school. You know, you're going out partying with friends. So I really didn't think much of it, but it kept getting worse. So I started going to my primary care doctor, University of Illinois doctor, University of Chicago. Everyone said it was fine. My blood work was fine. My labs were fine. Ultrasound was fine. Gallbladder was a little sluggish. I'm like, something's not right. You just know in your body.
And you have to be your own advocate, right? Because they're like, you're fine. You're like, no, I'm not.
Yes.
Right?
And that I had to learn very quickly to be my own advocate, which was hard for me at the time because I always had difficulty speaking up for myself. So that was a huge lesson. But anyway, one day at work, my eyes turned yellow. A coworker was like, why are your eyes yellow? And I'm like,
jaundice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, what do you mean yellow? So I actually went to a functional medicine doctor, and he noticed something with my blood. He's like, something weird is going on. He tipped off my liver doctor that I wasn't clotting, and that is a big sign of liver disease. So they finally did a liver biopsy, went through my jugular vein in my neck because they couldn't do the typical route in the stomach. I would have had internal bleeding. And 2 weeks before my 25th birthday, they said I had stage 4 non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
Jeez. And you were partying and stuff. So, but the alcohol doesn't help that. But you weren't in sclerosis, or what do they call it? Cirrhosis?
I was in cirrhosis.
But you were, but it wasn't from alcohol.
It wasn't from alcohol because
Right.
through the biopsy, they can tell, like, is it too much Tylenol? Is it other drugs? Is it alcohol?
Okay, gotcha.
And it was, yeah. Not
So what was the
alcoholic.
first thing that went through your mind when you heard that?
I was in total shock. Like, I was in nursing school. I was going to help other people. But the other thing was, okay, you don't have any pre-existing conditions. And I didn't think, why me? It was just, I couldn't believe that it wasn't something smaller.
Yeah, and did you have some sense of relief, though, to know what it was, though, too, or no?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was one of the hardest parts, knowing something's wrong and everyone's telling me nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, at this point, I mean, you can educate us. Is it like you have this long to live, or what are your options, or what are they saying to you?
So at that point, they said, well, you're young. We could possibly reverse the damage.
Okay.
So there was some hope there. Fast forward 3 months, I started hallucinating. Like, I thought I was losing my mind. I did not know that another sign of liver disease is, it's called, I can't think of the name right now, but anyways, the toxins build up, they go to your brain. The ammonia levels are too high in your brain, and you start to hallucinate.
And what kind of, like, tell us about that. What was that like?
My first hallucination, and people are like, oh, that's cool, were you on a trip or whatever? And I'm like, no, it's not funny. It was the scariest thing ever.
Scary, but it's very intriguing. Like, what were you seeing? What was
So
happening?
my first hallucination was there was a picture on the wall, and it had like a Ferris wheel, and the Ferris wheel started going around. And then I had like a teddy bear in the corner, and the head started turning. And then the next thing was I had snakes flying at my face, and like they were like going like this, and I'm screaming and hiding under the blankets because I literally thought snakes were attacking me.
Jeez.
Is that what tripping's like, Mikey?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever tripped. I've done some stupid stuff when I was younger, but
Same.
That's insane.
Yeah.
How terrifying that.
It was absolutely terrifying because I'm like, am I going like nuts or what is going on? But at that point, I turned completely jaundiced. I was like highlighter yellow.
Oh, wow.
And
skin too, not just your eyes.
yeah, my eyes, my skin, my nail beds, my toes, everything.
Wow.
And I got a call from the doctor saying, this was over the phone, mind you, getting this message. She said, Heather, I need you to come into the ER tomorrow morning. I don't think you're going to make it another 3 months. You're an acute liver failure.
Jeez. All right. And then so from there, how was like your family reacting?
They struggled big time. I mean, they were more of also in a state of shock and fear. And at that point, like when the doctor told me that on the phone, this just was where my head was. I never believed her. Like, I laughed at her on the phone. I actually laughed at her. And she's like, no, Heather, I'm not joking. Like, I don't think you're going to make it another 3 months.
How are you feeling, like, physically at this point? Like, obviously you have the jaundice. Are you feeling, but she's telling you this, but are you physically like, it's weird because I don't feel like I'm dying. I feel fine.
At that point, I didn't feel like I was dying, but I definitely felt horrific. You know, like my breathing was bad. I was basically going from bed to couch to bathroom to kitchen. So, yeah, no, I was
Were
feeling
you
horrible.
working, or what was your day-to-day like?
At that point, I had to quit school. I was working as a nursing assistant. I had to quit that as well because I just, energy-wise, I was
No
so
social life anymore, right? So like friends kind of disappear.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And then your family's reaction, did it get annoying at times where they were like too sympathetic? Do you know how that can be sometimes where like they treat you like you're, I don't know.
Fragile doll.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
and
kind
then,
of.
So, no, I know exactly what you mean. So at that point, no, it was more just concern. And I mean, they were there for me if I needed something. That overly protective, sympathetic came post-transplant.
okay.
Yes.
And were you living by yourself at the time?
No, I was with my parents.
Okay. So at least you were living in somewhere where you had support.
Yes.
All right. And then take us to, now I saw something somewhere, it said something about you just got to the mindset eventually where you knew you were going to get a transplant.
Yes.
So you got on the list.
I got on the
So you got the call. You got to come in tomorrow. You're gonna die in 3 months.
Yes.
Or what? So then what happens? You go in the next day to the ER.
I go in the next day. It's team after team coming in, assessing me. I was completely out of it. And once they saw me in person, they said, you have less than 50% chance of living another 2 months.
What's your first thought? Like when someone gives you that, are you like, I'm going to spend every cent I have and I'm going to go travel? Or are you like, I'm going to fight this thing with everything I have? Or what did you think?
So that's the crazy thing. Like people think like, oh, did you make a bucket list or,
Yeah.
do end of life type stuff? that never even crossed my mind to like, oh, I should, just live it up until the last day. I never believed them. I truly never believed them. They got me on the transplant list within a week, and I always knew that I didn't know when I was going to get the transplant. It was just a matter of time. I was going to get it.
Yeah.
And that's probably why you're sitting here today, because that certainty.
Where do they get those numbers from anyway? Like, I don't. So first of all, we're having an issue now in the world, especially in the United States, where there's a lack of trust in the medical system, right? Big Pharma's doing their thing.
Yep.
And we all know it. It's all being exposed. And so, like, for me, I have a hard time trusting. And by the way, I do a lot of podcasting, right? I think people know that. 1,000+ interviews. Wow. I think it's better than reading books. Because, and if you watch Joe Rogan, you've seen him transcend in his knowledge and intelligence from all the he's done like 4,000 of them, right? And he's so intelligent, and you hear him have these conversations with people. So I've gotten to interview a lot of doctors and then biohacking specialists, longevity specialists, and I'm hearing all these things, and I feel like, I'm not trying to put myself up like a high horse or anything, but I feel like I know a lot more than some of the routine doctors that don't really try to grow and learn new things and think outside the box, right? So I don't know where they get these numbers from anyway, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%, especially post-transplant years later, and looking back and doing my own research and working with functional medicine and the biohacking and everything. It's like, oh my gosh, could this have been prevented? Just the different, like I started with birth control, then hypothyroidism, then food allergies and sensitivities, then leaky gut, then parasite. And you see now how gut health is so crucial to everything, and chronic inflammation. It's like, but to answer your question, the numbers as far as, where I was on the list, they look at different liver numbers and kidney numbers, and then it's called a MELD score. So based on those numbers, they come up with the score, and depending on how high it is, that's where you are on the list.
They try to triage it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So like the highest number is 40, basically you're dead. I was at a 32.
Okay.
And prior to this, would you say like you were a pretty healthy person? Like,
yeah,
like in your teens and
oh
beyond,
my gosh, I had no issues in my teens. I did dance, I did cheerleading.
Yeah.
I was, always like 100 pounds. Like.
Did you have a moment when you're like, why is this happening to me? Like, why? I mean, obviously we're like, okay, this is here to teach me something. But did you question like, I'm young and 20. Why is this happening to me?
I didn't let my mind go there too often, because that could be a slippery slope.
Of course.
Especially when, like you said, you lost your friends, you're sitting at home with your parents by yourself, no one's coming to visit. As time went on, and I could feel myself dying. Like, I could feel stuff shutting down. It got to a point where during the night I would get up out of bed to go to the bathroom, and I would just fall. So at certain points I would be like, I'm not a heavy drinker, I'm not a drug user, I'm not 500 pounds. Or you look at family or other people who are abusing their bodies, and it's like, how are they still going? And I'm sitting here like this,
Sure.
So sure, that thought came in here and there, but I wouldn't stay there.
Well, yeah, because probably from 18 to mid 20s, I was partying hard, like drinking, chasing every party every night. Then I got into marijuana and then other drugs, and I look back and that wasn't me. Like, that's not who I am. But like I like hard on my body, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah.
But I didn't have those things, thank God. But like here, you weren't doing that, and then you had to. Well, but anyway, there's a reason that you went through it.
Yes.
And we're going to find out that in a second here, and the impact that you're going to make on people. Sure. So all right, so then take us through when you found or heard that you had a donor, and did you get to meet that person? Like, how does that work?
So I was put on the wait list. Then a few months later, they said you should start looking for a living donor, because it was so aggressive and I was getting worse so fast. So
what does that mean, a living donor?
So I didn't even know what that meant. So the liver is the only organ that can regenerate. So a living donor would be, if they were a blood match, they have to do all these different tests. They find a match, and they took my whole liver out, and I got a portion of the donors. So that's
okay. So living donor. Okay, because at first you're talking about someone that passed in an accident or whatever that had a healthy liver.
Correct.
Okay. So then they go to a living donor. Okay.
So they have to be a match. Could it be your parents? I mean, because obviously, does age matter or anything like the stipulations like that? I mean,
so they said age didn't really matter.
Okay.
They tested. I have a younger sister, 3 years younger, and a few younger cousins that were a blood match. But they also do psychological testing. So let's say my sister was to donate, and I still ended up dying. like how would that impact
Oh, that
her,
part.
the family.
Okay.
So they really put her kind of on the back burner. They wanted someone a little older, probably like in their 30s plus. And yeah, my donor was 11 years older than me.
Okay. And did you know them?
I did not know them. I got the phone call from him about a month before the transplant.
He called you?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. So how does that work? They allow that to happen? Like,
I don't know if they still do. This was 10 years ago because sometimes that can get tricky.
yeah.
But
Wait till you hear the story, guys. Just get ready.
I ended up getting a phone call from the gentleman who I never met before. I heard that there was someone who was getting further in the testing, but I had no clue who he was. Ironically, he ended up being my cousin's friend's like a family member.
Okay.
So they knew each other, and I got that phone call end of January, so almost a year after my diagnosis.
And what did he say?
Hey, Heather, my name's Chris. I just got a call from Lisa, the transplant coordinator, and I'm a match. I'm going to be your donor.
Wow.
All right. What went through your head?
Can I swear?
Yeah, absolutely. Girl, I have the goosebumps. I'm like, okay.
I was like, holy shit. You know, I was in shock, but at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm like, until this day happens and they're
Right.
cutting me open,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to believe.
Yeah. You don't
Because
commit to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're taking someone who's perfectly healthy. Like, why is he doing this to me? He doesn't know me. So there's a little bit of apprehension there.
Sure.
But at the same time, like, wow, like my prayers are being answered finally.
Yeah. Let's talk about prayer for a second. So, what was your prayer life like during that time? And are you a believer? Like, where do you stand with that?
Yeah. So, no, I've always been a believer in God, had a strong faith, strong family. Probably a few years leading up to transplant, I got away from God, and that had to do with, I still believed in God, but I really was hanging with a bad crowd, and the drinking accelerated. And it's funny because people look at me, they're like, you look like an angel. Like, you hung out with bad guys. Like, and I'm like, yeah, they were pretty.
What do you mean bad?
Big drinkers, into drugs,
Okay.
former gang members in the city, you know, not going home on the weekends, the relationships.
I mean,
Yeah, I
that's not
wouldn't
funny, but I
have
just
hit
couldn't
that. I
imagine
would
that
have
either.
pegged her for
Wasn't
that.
lying.
Yeah.
Like, you wanted details, so here we go.
What do you think you were chasing?
We get why they would chase you, but like, why were you intrigued by this life and these people?
So I was always attracted to the bad boys.
Yeah.
And they were like 7 years older than me. I met them at a bar, just being really stupid. And I think it was the adrenaline rush
Yeah.
of, you know, not me drinking and driving, but, you know, racing in the car and throwing beer bottles out the
Yeah,
car and going to the clubs and hotels and
Letting
just,
loose.
yes.
Yeah.
Like, and I think too, because I always struggled with like kind of embracing who I was, even though I struggled with anxiety or lack of confidence, I felt when I was with them and getting that adrenaline rush and in drinking, it was liquid courage.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
I've
allowed
been
me
there.
to,
I want to be Superman, and I was able to be.
Yeah.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. Like, don't try it.
What movie is that
Don't-
from?
Do not try it. That was
Trivia
Rick
question.
James. Rick James on Chappelle's show.
yeah.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
So what does it? So Chris, we're gonna
Yes.
get it deeper into that. But
Sure.
like, what does make someone become a donor? What benefit, I guess, rather than being a do-gooder, is it for them? You know, because people do question that. Like, are they getting what benefits are they getting to like? Because they can have problems after that,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
they're
it's-
perfectly healthy before.
exactly. And yeah, that's a good question because I still can't answer that other than being like
A good person.
a good person.
Yeah.
And like him not remaining anonymous. After that, my transplant coordinator actually told me that like they typically don't allow that. And I don't know if they allow it today because they had these weird things where like people would call in and just would be wanting to volunteer to be a donor. And it wasn't like, it was more of their own personal accolades.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like an ulterior motive type of thing.
Sure.
So, you know, I question
Yeah.
that in a way too.
So okay. So now we want to get into the meat of this.
Yeah.
So then you go through and you have the surgery. Did you have any complications?
And did you meet Chris? Did you meet his?
No. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's
I mean,
coming.
I'm with you.
It's
I
coming.
don't even know the story.
Hang
I'm
tight.
just guessing. That's why I'm asking. Because
Hang
I
tight.
wanted to be
No.
surprised.
Hang tight.
So
Just get ready. Strap your seatbelts on. Put your helmets on. All right. So did you have complications first of all?
It's 12-hour surgery, and the power went out.
Oh my God.
My poor parents and family, they're sitting, and I didn't
my God.
obviously find out about this for like a week later. The fire department's coming through, the backup generators.
Oh my God.
So, but as far as me physically, thankfully, I found out they nicked my bowel. I was wondering for why 5 days they wouldn't let me drink or eat anything. And finally, they had the doctor come in. But other than that, I was good.
Okay.
I never went through any rejection.
No rejection.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay. All right. Now, Kinz, go ahead.
Wow. Well, because this is okay. So full transparency, because I know there's a Hallmark-ish something involved. So I know there's some love, like something's going on. I'm like,
Is it Hallmarked or Hallmark?
Hallmark?
Because
With a
my
K.
wife and I always she worked at Hallmark. Hallmark.
It's Hallmark with a K.
Yeah,
But
and-
because when he was presenting you to come on the show, he's like, oh, this is a Hallmark. No, really her story is a Hallmark movie. So tell us, because I'm like, is Chris handsome? I want to know all about Chris. So like, I know there's some, but I don't know the story because I wanted to hear it authentically from you.
Sure.
So you see him or take us through meeting the donor who saved your life.
So, yes. So I actually met him a month before the
Okay.
transplant. Our families met, and then we started to recover together. You know, you're walking the unit together.
With your donor.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
I
was
didn't know that.
3 doors down from me.
So he's a little older and is he good looking? Is he like charming? Is
So,
Take us through. Let's paint
so
the
that's
picture.
the thing. This is a guy that I would have never gone for prior to translate.
Okay.
Be full transparency, not someone I would have gone for, but I feel like I had this, sheet over my face because he just saved my life.
Yeah.
And I was looking
your hero.
at, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the
Well, they
answer
talk
to my
about guys
prayers.
going 50-50 these days, but he gave you half of his liver. So
And he
that's a
was-
pretty big 50-50.
How much older than you?
11.
Okay, so he's
Wow.
11 years older.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I got 55% of his liver.
55%. Okay.
took my whole-
We're not advocating for 50-50 at all, but we're saying in this case, okay. Okay, we'll take it.
So you're walking the hallways.
Yes. So he planned also like a GoFundMe fundraiser for about a month later. I spoke at Moraine Valley advocating for organ donation. And so, I started to feel this attraction for him outside of the hospital, started hanging out, and it just kind of developed from there.
This is a Hallmark movie. I love it. Go tell us more.
And also, before the transplant, we even had it, like the local newspapers started picking up the story. Like stranger is donating.
Yes.
Then I'm still in the ICU, and ABC7 is downstairs wanting to interview me. I'm like, can we wait for like the puffiness and everything to go
Yeah,
down?
of
I don't
course.
look my best right now. And so then once we got home, it just exploded. And the interviews with the two of us was just one after another.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that also kind of gave that reinforcement in my mind, like, yeah, this guy's the one. Like,
Was he showing like signs of attraction to you too?
he was.
Okay.
And I was also thinking, like, because I had all bad experiences in the past with guys because of my own choices, I was like, gosh, what guy would give his liver and, risk his life for me? And even though it wasn't the physical attraction wouldn't have been my first choice.
Yeah.
It just kind of went
Yeah.
from there.
That's incredible. Okay, so then what?
Wait a minute. Were you questioning yourself? Like, is this real? This attraction I have for him, or is it because did you kind of analyze that?
After a while, I did.
Yeah.
Kind of like, am I feeling a sense of like, not guilt, but like needing to stay with him because he did this for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did have that a little bit in my mind. Is this real or is this just gratitude?
Right.
What was that first kiss like?
Gosh.
Was there taunt? No.
No.
Is that what you want to know? Like,
Well, I mean, was it like on a walk or like, was it like, and then when you both realized like, oh my gosh, like this is something.
Yeah, it was, I believe it was on one of our walks.
Okay. See? I know it.
Yeah, he had his own condo, so I was over there a lot, and we would go for walks just to get like your lung capacity up. You wouldn't believe how much after a surgery it affects your breathing. So I had to work on
Yeah.
I
that.
love
Yeah.
this. So he made his move. Okay.
yes.
I love that.
or did you make the move?
You know what? I think I made the move.
I had a feeling. I just had a feeling.
Now that you said it,
Okay.
you're like, hold whole time period is kind of a blur. I don't know if it's my
Yeah.
brain trying to like protect me and block it out, but
Yeah. Okay.
no, I did make the first move now that you said that.
Yeah. I had a feeling.
This is incredible.
And
So
then,
so what blossomed, or where? So then tell us about like how everything stands now and what blossomed and what's happening.
So he proposed to me. It was like a year and a half later in front of the Drake Hotel, actually.
Oh, I love the
At a
Drake
carriage
Hotel
ride.
here in
Talk about
Chicago.
fairy
Classic.
tale.
Yeah, that is. Oh my
Or
God.
Hallmark, you know.
Yes.
So yeah, and then we had the wedding at in Oak Brook. We had like 300 people.
How amazing.
And CBS Channel News was at the church, and
Wow.
soon after, go ahead.
no, this whole story is wild.
So,
and-
so when you say, why did this happen to me? And you're, like, it's incredible. It's
Right,
incredible.
and that's what I was thinking at the time. You know, like I thought I processed things, you know, with the
Yeah.
transplant and everything, but it was like I didn't have time to process it because I just went from surgery to, you know, this relationship and constant interviews and everything to then they say a full year for physical recovery. I went back to work. I started a job at a car dealership 9 months later, part-time. 6 months after that, I went back to school full-time. Like, I just went from one thing to the
love it.
next.
I love it.
And yeah. And actually, Steve Harvey gave us our honeymoon.
Oh,
get out.
incredible. Where did you go? We have to
Did
know.
you get to meet him?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, we
okay.
were on his show, and then he
That's
surprised
so
us.
awesome.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Where did
So,
you guys go on a honeymoon?
It was all-inclusive Sandals Resort in Jamaica.
Yes.
You remember? Was it Montego Bay? Like right near the airport, or did you have to drive like
It was
an
about
hour?
a half. I think it was
maybe-
Montego Bay.
Yeah.
It was
Go
pretty
Steve
close.
Stay there. Yeah, that's
Did
a
you-
beautiful
yes,
place.
Yes,
Like
I'm
when
a
you
big
wake up
Steve
in the
Harvey
morning
fan. I
and you
love
look
Steve
out
Harvey.
It's just
it-
blue.
yeah,
lights
like when you
and-
wake up first thing in the morning, the sun's rising. I don't think there's a better view.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Yeah,
like
I know. I didn't want to
breathtaking.
leave.
Yeah, I stayed
We
there.
went horseback
Did you
riding.
meet a guy named Aliko? Do you remember he was like the activity coordinator there? Tall, skinny guy, and he was really like friendly with everybody.
Yes,
He's a
yes,
friend of
yes.
mine.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh,
yeah.
no way.
And he danced and stuff and played basketball with
where
people.
I
the show
actually
will be
dealt with
from.
him a
Yeah.
lot because they lost their luggage.
Yeah. He's great, man. He's my buddy. He's all over
Aw.
Jamaica now. Yeah, so that's
That's so
wild.
cool.
Small world.
So cool.
Yeah.
Did Steve Harvey give you guys any advice? Because he likes, how he does before, after the show or whatever. He gives.
You know
like,
what? He had like one show after another
Okay.
booked that day. So we finished and they like brought us
Good
right
job.
out.
On to the
Yeah,
next.
yeah.
That's really
So,
cool
But it
that
was
you
a
guys
cool
went on your
experience to meet him.
honeymoon. Wow.
But then you come back from the honeymoon,
Mm-hmm.
and then how did marriage go?
Marriage was okay for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The honeymoon stage ended pretty quickly,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Oh.
Wanna talk about it?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Well, this is like real life because that is
Right.
the Hallmark movie, and that's where the Hallmark movie ends. For the
Right.
for that. But then in real life, it's like, okay, then now what? The
Right.
aftermath.
And this was kind of the tricky part, like in my brain, because the marriage, there started being issues before Hallmark even called us.
Okay.
So, at the time when we got married, there was questions that I asked, financial, and I wasn't getting full answers. And part of it was being young and me not speaking up enough and pushing for those answers. So part of it is definitely my own fault going into something kind of blindly. And then also I think I was just so happy to be alive
Yeah.
that things that I would have pushed or questioned, I probably glazed over.
Sure.
And like, well, he saved my life, so
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out,
Yeah, totally. And he can always have that card, like, I did save your life.
Right,
Like,
like,
every
don't throw
argument
that
you
in my
have.
face. Don't
Well,
even.
you're here because
Did
of
he
me.
ever do that?
He didn't actually.
okay.
I have
That's
to give him
good,
credit.
okay.
He never did throw that in my face.
That's impressive. That's
Okay, so then you started like the financial part was the thing that came up, or
Yes.
the main thing?
Yes. So just a lot of questions, and finally he came out with just a lot of financial things that he hid from me, like major things. And everyone has debt or dealing with stuff, and that's completely fine. I'm not going to not be with someone if they're struggling, but you can't start a marriage on deceit.
Yeah.
And lies. Like,
Yeah.
you have to be honest with me. It's going to come out sooner or later. And I always said, like, I would rather you just tell me the truth and hurt me than me find out about something. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So basically we started going to individual and marriage counseling. And we were also in the process of adopting. So,
Yeah,
you
it's a
know,
lot.
we were going through that. And then I got a phone call from Hallmark. And I thought it was a joke when I saw, you know,
Yeah,
over
sure.
and basically they said from all the publicity and stuff that they wanted to take our story and make it into a Christmas movie.
Okay.
Yes.
And did you say yes right away, or and did they offer you money? Or how did that
So
work?
that was the thing I asked, like, okay, is it contracts, how much, how does this work? And so we got a lawyer as well, and they did offer money, and we tried for more because I felt like, okay, the total amount that we got, I felt we each individually should have gotten that. And my lawyer had tried to push for that. And at the time, maybe he wasn't a good lawyer. Maybe this was the case with Hallmark. They're like, well, you know, we're not a real high budget either. It was like a take it or leave it.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
And then so you said yes at that point.
Yes.
And then what did you have to go through?
so I told them, you know, I know Hallmark is very cutesy and happy
Yeah, I was like,
ending.
oh,
and,
Hallmark Christmas movies. Were you insistent upon someone playing you, or who did you want to play you?
you know, I never like put any stipulations on who's going
like Reese Witherspoon. I'm thinking Kate Hudson, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I never put any.
Kristen Bell, I could see. Really
Okay.
cute. Yeah.
No, I never put any stipulations on that, but I did say, I know you have to add in your cutesy stuff, but it is like a very traumatic story and impacted my life in every aspect. So when you're writing the script, I want to be involved as far as I want you to keep the storyline as close to the real deal as possible. And they did. They worked with me. They would
So
call
they
me.
interviewed you? Is that how they got the information?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And as they were doing the script, they would call me and ask, is this okay? Or how do you like this?
Okay.
You know, things like that.
And how long did that take for them to finish the script?
So from the time, about a year and a half, I want to say.
Okay. So it was a process.
And what were you thinking? Like, my life is being made into a Hallmark movie. Like, was that just, how did that feel?
It was-
or does it feel?
Yeah, very surreal.
Yeah.
And also it like plays into the whole me trying to process
Sure.
everything I went through.
Yeah.
You know, and like that bigger purpose.
Yes.
Okay, like, yes, this was horrific. Yes, I have a ginormous scar across my stomach that's no hiding it. No, I wouldn't have chose this path for my life, but like my story, my life is being made into a movie that says something, that's
Yeah.
got to say something.
And it's going to affect
you know?
so many people,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
Yes. So mentally, that I feel triggered something like, okay, keep moving forward. You know, there's got to be a bigger purpose, or you're here for a reason. I don't know what that reason is, you know, at that point yet, but I got a second chance. So
Did you go to set when they were producing it?
yes.
Yeah.
So they flew us to Canada. We were there for 3 days and got to meet Amy Teagarden, who played me, and the other.
What were your thoughts when you met her or found out that she was going to be playing you?
I thought-
Honestly, like,
So I wish she would have been blonde, honestly.
oh yeah,
Yeah. So that's what I was wondering, because they would, like, Mikey, who would you have play you in a movie?
probably. I don't know.
Jason Statham.
No, I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Somebody good.
There's so
I feel
many
like you'd
people
want to
out
be
there.
you amplified, right?
Prob-
You're not going to be like,
probably- what's
no
the
offense,
Austra-
love Danny DeVito, but I'm like, Danny DeVito.
Yeah, not Danny DeVito,
Like,
not
Statham would
not
be
Joe
good.
Pesci. Yeah, maybe Russell Crowe.
Oh, okay.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's a fun
hadn't thought about
question.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love that. Okay, so you wanted a blonde, but Amy's awesome. So
Right.
yeah.
No, she was awesome. She was
Yeah.
super sweet. And it was even more surreal because they kept my name, my sister's name, my parents' names. Like they didn't change it for the movie.
Right.
So you're sitting there watching it, then they're talking and they're saying Heather and Chris and Ashley and Kathy. And I'm like, this is just wild.
Did she have to hang around you to get kind of understand like you?
Man. She didn't. No.
Okay.
No.
And then when you watched it, did you see like that's not me?
Yeah, how did you feel? Did they portray your likeness, one, and the storyline to your liking?
They did, yes.
Okay, cool.
Overall, I felt the storyline was pretty close to the real deal. The only thing, and this is Hallmark, so obviously they had to make it like this. It was like they had me have my surgery, and the next morning, you know, the sun comes up, and she takes the blanket off and gets out of bed like, and just
It's like birds are chirping.
That is not how it happened.
Your makeup's perfect.
I wish it happened that way.
Yeah, and just gets up out of bed and starts walking, and I'm like, oh, honey, if you had any idea, I could show you pictures. I had, the port in my neck, the tubes. I mean,
This
like,
is not Hollywood. Though.
right?
Yeah.
That is so cool. So where could everybody? Is the movie out? What's this? Or where can people find it? And
Sure.
we gotta watch it. I can't wait to. I'm gonna watch
Was
it
it the
tonight.
most watched or something, or what was it?
So
sort of
yeah,
in the-
they brought us to the Grove in LA, and for the premiere,
Awesome.
it was the highest rated and most watched Christmas movie in Hallmark network
love
history.
that. And that's saying
Yeah.
a lot because they churn those babies out. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. Well, and the producer told us afterwards that they took a risk with the movie and they didn't know how it was going to turn out because typically they don't have like something sad or that dramatic in a Hallmark movie. I'm like, see, guys, aren't you glad you took that risk with me? Like,
good. I would think that would be something that they would it wouldn't be risky because more authentic and vulnerable is better to me.
Right,
Probably
that's
but yeah.
right.
Well, I guess we don't want to spoil the ending because I was gonna like, did they end with the wedding? But I guess we'll see because I don't want to. If you haven't seen the movie, I don't want to like spoiler alert.
Okay, so you guys were going through. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was just going to say to answer your question. It came out in December of 2018.
Okay.
And it's called Once Upon a Christmas
Once
Miracle.
Upon a Christmas Miracle. Okay. I'm gonna go watch this.
And
I'm
then
so
when they
excited.
prior to them reaching out to you, you were going through counseling. So take us back to that point, and then what happened and ended up happening with the relationship.
So that was hard because I felt like when I was going through the process of the counseling, I was also having people reach out to me, tons of people, like, because of you, like you gave me hope, or because of you, my sister saw your story and she's dealing with liver disease and she's going to keep pushing forward. And, just nonstop messages like that. And as much as like I was helping them, they were really helping me heal. And like, wow, the impact I'm making, like there's a reason for all this. So then take that side, and now you're struggling in your marriage, and everyone's like, oh my God, a Hallmark movie, you're doing a movie, and I can't get a guy to text me back, and he got a liver, and like all these things. And I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, you have no idea what's going on. We're sleeping in separate rooms. We've been. And then, I have to get on camera and be like, oh, my honey.
And they're romanticizing your
Oh,
entire
man.
story. That is
Because you want the movie to
That is
sell.
hard.
Like,
Yeah.
you ruin that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I felt like mentally that was hard because it got to a point where like I felt like I was living a double life.
Yeah.
Started to feel like a fraud in a way.
So it didn't help. Like sometimes when you just act it out, like just be it, just fake it till you make it kind of thing. Like that didn't help when you were doing that.
It did for a little while,
Yeah.
but then as I realized counseling isn't helping.
Yeah.
Nothing is changing. I'm not saying he's 100% at fault for this, but when you keep going and you tell someone what your issues with them, and you ask, what are your issues with me? Oh, nothing. I love you.
Yeah.
And then we get in the car to go home, and it's, well, what's for dinner? And there's no changes or no accountability.
Action. Yeah. It's like, you want to see change in action. Yeah.
Exactly. So as the time was going on and I was seeing like nothing is changing, I'm questioning, should we even be adopting? But I wanted a baby so bad. And, this is in my mind, I'm like, well, maybe I'll just get the baby and then divorce him. Like, but then I'm like, I'm going to be stuck with him for 18 years. So all these things.
I love the vulnerability, transparency.
Because a lot of times in our life, especially where we got to make a plan. It's like, okay, well, this is like, how do I get from A to B? But not like, and you were doing that in your life. So did you end up adopting, or what happened?
No.
Okay.
So
which is probably the best thing.
Yes,
without
absolutely.
A
as hard as that was.
Yeah.
And I always felt like he was just kind of going along with it for me because I really wanted a baby. I did a lot of the paperwork and stuff like that. So, to finish with you were saying, what was your question? Just about
I forget.
making it hard. Yeah, so just making it hard as far as like feeling like a fraud and then having to be
like
happy,
did it help?
healthy.
Yeah.
Did it help?
Oh, did it help? It
Like
did
the
for a
double
little
life
while.
thing, yeah.
But then, like, as things were getting worse and really questioning the adoption thing. So anyways, when I asked him for the divorce, I moved home like that night, packed a bag, and I waited to see how long is it going to take for him to say something about the adoption. I'm just not going to say anything. I'm just going to wait and
Before
see.
you go into that,
Sure.
did you feel a sense of relief when you finally made a decision?
Yeah.
Because we talked about this last night about being stuck in a maybe.
Yeah. It's like a maybe.
Indecisiveness, and you're just like in this limbo, and you cannot accomplish anything when you're stuck in that.
Yeah.
And then when you make a decision, no matter what decision you end up making, is hurtful, it may be sad, whatever, but there's a sense of relief sometimes.
Yes.
A lot of
You've
times.
been stuck. You
Yes.
know,
Did you
and you're
notice
like,
that?
you know,
Yes.
yeah. So
So for me, I'm the type of person, like, I will try and try and try and try, but when I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, you can't say anything to me. So, you know, okay, we're switching jobs. Okay, we're trying this medicine. Okay, we're addressing childhood stuff with your mom. And so it was like, I was checking those boxes. We're giving it time. We're giving it time. I knew, I mean, to be 100% honest and completely transparent here, before we even went to the premiere of the movie, I knew I was done.
Okay.
yeah.
So
Women know for a really long time.
Yeah.
I feel like women, and when they ask, like, what should you, innately, you know.
Yes.
It's just you're trying to be like, oh. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So, but once I finally did make the decision to do it, there was relief.
Yeah.
There was absolute relief.
Yeah.
Was he
Like,
shocked or did he see it coming? Would you say?
I mean, I warned him, like,
Yeah.
I don't want to end up in divorce, but, you know, if things don't change, blah, blah,
You're
blah.
like, I am leaving. But
Right.
sometimes they don't believe you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if he ever believed I would have the strength to pull the trigger on it. So, but when I did ask him, I was surprised he didn't have as much of a reaction. So I feel like deep down,
Yeah.
he knew.
And then you were waiting for him to say something about the adoption.
Yes.
No, that's what happened.
Yes. So I'm like, we're going to see. We're going to wait this out. This is like a game. Game on. You know, because now I'm pissed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the fire Heather's about to come
Yes.
out. So 2 weeks went by and nothing was said. And I had already called the agency, which was extremely hard because I was 30 at that time. And so you have all these things going through your mind like,
You've done so much to get it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right. Like, so all these things going through your mind, like, oh my gosh, like I'm, you know, getting older. Am I going to meet somebody? Well, maybe I'll meet somebody that has kids. Well, I hope they're young kids, you know, like
Yeah.
all these things. But I knew that I couldn't afford it financially. And did I really want to have to co-parent with this one?
Yeah.
So I had already called the agency by the time he
Came around and
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
So what today? Are you dating? Are you what's the story now? What's the next Hallmark movie? We want to know.
So I'm not dating right now.
Okay.
I don't know why I can't find a man.
Wait a minute. So you're not avoiding dating. You're just not dating anyone. So you're
Correct.
not. Okay. So you're out there.
Yeah,
You're
no,
out there on the what do they call the prowl? But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Wow.
I'm not on any dating sites. Maybe I should be. You know,
Yeah.
I'm open to dating. It's like I feel like maybe God just isn't bringing someone into my life right now because I'm so working on myself. Like I feel like even from my teenage years into my 20s, I always was with a boy. Always had a boyfriend, and then went right into marriage. And I feel in a way like that kind of robbed me of learning who I truly was, and also being able to have the confidence and the self-esteem without having someone to kind of reinforce that or boost that or, you know, tell you to really see it and believe it on my own. And I feel like that's what I'm working on now. And also, you know, after my marriage, I kind of hid my story in a way. I was kind of ashamed of, oh my God, you have this Hallmark movie and, you're divorced.
I can imagine for sure.
But that's real life, you know. Like Hallmark is.
True.
That's why people like because it's the fantasy. But then it's real. It's real, you know.
Right.
How long ago was the divorce finalized?
It was finalized Good Friday of 2020.
Okay.
So
Okay.
almost 5 years now.
Yes.
Okay.
So what a beautiful ...
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
I mean, the world's your oyster.
Right.
What's
You've
the
been
what's
through
the
so
guy look
much.
like that you're looking for? Like, what's your dream?
Ooh.
Because like there may be somebody in the
Somebody
audience.
could be
I don't know.
watching
I
right
mean,
now.
maybe this
Somebody
is an
could be
opportunity,
watching.
and we could be part of her, you
Yeah.
know, the story, and then we'll create another movie out of
We
it.
would like to be the next Hallmark
knows?
film. We're just putting that out there.
That's awesome.
And then we can get Russell Crowe to play me.
Exactly.
No, I don't know why I
I'll
said
take on
Russell
mine.
Crowe, but I just
I'll take
watched
on my
Gladiator. Yeah.
So, what I would like in a guy that has changed.
Does he have to be willing to
drastically.
give you an organ?
I thought you were going to say something else. Yes.
Or well, multiple
She
of those.
was already shaking her head
He
when you
wants
said the
multiple
O
of
word.
those. Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That's obvious. That's obvious.
Oh my God.
Continue.
Well, hopefully, I never have to have another organ transplant.
But lots of orgasms.
yes. Off the bat.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, but so what's he look like? What's he,
Mikey's blushing. No.
Focus. So he would have to be, at this point, someone who is very understanding of my health. And, you know, unfortunately, my energy levels have never bounced back to what they were prior. Yes, like this is 10 years later in age and everything, but you know, you're on heavy duty anti-rejection medicine. It has a lot of side effects. It's hard on the kidneys, you know, so the way I function, or if I get sick, let's say, the amount of time for me to bounce back is double to triple the time of the average person, because basically I have no immune system. It's suppressed.
right.
So someone who can be understanding of that like, yeah, maybe I'm going to be in bed tomorrow, and no, I'm not being lazy, because like
maybe a hot doctor. I'm thinking for her. Without, you know, like McDreamy, McSteamy. That's what I'm vibing for you.
And then, so yeah, on the personal end, that, and then on the other end, I would say, because I'm working on building my brand, I want to become a global keynote speaker. I would love to travel and really share my story and the impact of like, you look at me and you would never know that I had a liver transplant. So like kind of,
That's true. That's true.
like,
I can attest to that.
you know, like kind of you never know what someone's going through. Don't judge a book by a cover. Like,
Absolutely.
so I would like someone who is probably in business and someone that I could build with. Someone who we both support each other. We have big visions, whether it's in business together or we have our own businesses, but kind of like that power couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you this: if you want to be a speaker, just be it. You already are. So you don't have to say I want to be. I am. So start saying I am.
I am. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because it matters.
Yes.
And you will also not only for speaking and more speaking opportunities, but to find the right person to have a relationship with and other relationships you can collab with.
True.
You got to get on lots of podcasts.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
And this
that's
is the
fun.
first. I don't know how many you've done. I've seen you do some, but like just make a commitment to be on podcasts and build relationships with the show hosts.
Okay.
Not just their audience,
Right.
but the show hosts, because they're some of the most connected people on the planet.
Yes.
So
what
that's
I'm
my advice for
finding
you on
out.
that.
Thank you.
And you're doing
you.
it. And we're thrilled you're here. What a
you.
great story. We have to have you back when
Thank you.
you know, we got a part two.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
love this. And I'm
So-
going to go watch her Hallmark movie.
Where can people
you.
go deeper with you besides looking at the movie and all that?
Sure.
But like with you,
For
personally?
me, I'm on, you know, social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, my email, you know, I could put out there.
And then are the DMs open for guys that might like be interested in filling that role?
Yeah, just don't be creepy. Like,
Yeah, of course not.
Creepy. Yeah, exactly.
you know, like
She's been through
I've dealt with enough. I'm gonna see through the BS. Like,
Yeah. Genuine.
but yeah,
reach out.
they're open to people who are curious.
Yeah, okay.
You know.
All right, let's go, fellas.
What a
Let's
great
go.
story. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate you
Yeah,
for having me.
it's been a pleasure. Like the short time I've known you, and I'm glad that you put your hand up. And this is like a
Yeah.
lesson for everyone out there. Like we talked about this before we started recording. You need to lean into this fear. You need to lean into hard, because when you do, fear and hardness run from you. So I don't know if that sounded right, but oh, here we go again. But it runs from you, and if you run from fear, it chases you.
Yes.
And so, like, I was encouraging you, like non-verbally. I was like, "Put that hand up, girl. Get it up there."
I didn't
but
even
yeah, but I
notice
just did.
that you were recognizing that.
Yeah, I was
mean,
like, let's go. I'm very observant. I study human behavior, and I'm always looking for people that need that encouragement, even non-verbally. Like, there's an energy there. So, but yeah, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you.
Thank
and
you for having me.
guys, thank you so much for watching the That One podcast in Chicago with your boy C-Roc and Kinz. Kinz, great job.
Thank you.
You too.
And keep coming back. Make sure you subscribe. Go support our guests. And until next time, be that one.